morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel. Now, in today's video, we are going to look at nostalgia. Yes, the top 5 nostalgia tanks in the game, where we just look back at the early days of Blitz and what tanks there was to have a bit of fun. But before we get into today's video, this video is sponsored by Huawei App Gallery. So download Huawei App Gallery now. Link is in the description. Once you do that, once you download Huawei App Gallery, download What Blitz from the App Gallery, and then you will be able to get these coupons. So the coupons are for 30% off of May's Battle Pass. Yes, you can get 30% off May's Battle Pass. And not only that, but when you spend in the game, you'll also get 5% back in Huawei points to spend on what you want. This coupon runs from the 1st of the 5th to the 31st of the 5th. So download Huawei App Gallery now. The links are in the description, and start saving yourself some money. So, nostalgia. Now, back in the day, back when Blitz was first a thing, there wasn't all these premium tanks, all these OP premium tanks. A lot of them were actually tech tree tanks. A lot of good, fun tanks were tech tree tanks. There was premium tanks, but there was only the standard premium tanks, like the IS-6, the T34, the Tiger, and so on and so on. But there wasn't that many premium tanks. So nowadays people go out, they play things like Annihilators, you know, premium tanks that are really fun, the T22 and stuff like that. But what tanks were there to play back in Blitz? And when you look back, you kind of look at these tanks now and think, yeah, this is a shit tank. But back in the day, these were absolutely fun tanks to play. And first up, we've got the Hetcher. The Hetcher. You know, the Hetcher's gonna Hetz. That is what everybody used to say. So this pretty much had a gun that can destroy you with one shot. It could literally destroy you with one shot. If you're running, I think it was the 10.5 centimeter gun, you used to be able to do 400 plus damage per shot. Now, Wargaming removed that ability. Wargaming removed the possibility of one-shotting tanks with a tier 4 tank. Why? Because basically they put it down to it's new players. They don't want to be getting one shot. Like, if they join the game, Wargaming wanted to keep hold of new players, because the problem was a few years ago that new players would come into the game and they would leave after just a few battles. So Wargaming wanted to minimize that. You know, they wanted more people to stay. So some of the things that they got rid of was some of them are actually in this video, some other tanks as well. But with things like the Hetcher and with the tank we're going to see next, this had the ability to one-shot tanks very early on, like in lower tiers. Not just tier 4, but also tier 3, which is the next tank we're going to look at. So Wargaming wanted to, you know, they wanted to keep hold of these new players. So they decided, let's get rid of the howitzer. You know, the gun that can just destroy tanks with one shot. Because as a new player, if you come in front of a Hetcher and you get destroyed in one shot, you're not going to have much fun. And you'll probably just think, okay, if this is what Blitz is all about, then this ain't for me. I don't want to be joining a game and being able to one-shot tanks. Or the other hand is, if you get one shot, people be like, wow, I want that. I really want that tank. If you're able to one shot tanks, I want that tank. They go and play the tank, and it's not as easy as it seems. You know, the penetration wasn't great. You only can shoot it at, sort of with HE and stuff like that. But it wasn't as easy as it looked. So they removed the howitzer from the Hetcher. And that because of that, it's now just nobody plays the Hetcher now. Nobody. So along with the big gun that they got rid of, they also got rid of some autoloaders, or some tanks with just OP autoloaders. And the Luchs here was another one of those tanks. Now the Luchs, those of you that don't know, this was one of the most broken tanks in the game when it was first released. So broken that I had so much fun playing this tank. So much fun. Now I never played this tank to stat pad. I never ever played this tank to get my win rate up, because back then when I was playing this tank, I didn't really know too much about win rate. I didn't look at it. I didn't ever look at it, in fact. And I just wanted to play for fun. And the Luchs back then, it was mega fun. It literally, this and the Leopard 1, the Leopard, the tier 5 version of this, they were broken. They really were broken, and that is what people used to do back then. They used to double these up, you know, platoon in a Luchs, and have mega fun. Now you can see you've only got, it is an auto loader, but you've only got the two shells, where it used to have like 5, so or something like that. So it always shoots a couple of shots as well. So it used to be able to shoot like 10 times, 10 shells. It was insane. It really was insane. If you had 2 of these in a platoon and you just rushed like a tier 3 or sometimes even a tier 4, they would be gone. They would be gone. As long as you penned every one of your shots, they would be gone. And for me, it was the most fun time in Blitz. You know, I've never had so much fun playing a tank more than I played the Luchs, which is why I've got almost 1,500 battles in it. Not to stat pad, but just to have fun. So moving on, just like we've seen with the Hetcher, with the howitzer, the T82. This is a tier 3 tank, an absolutely shockingly shit tank right now. But again, like the Hetcher, this tank right here had the ability to one-shot tanks. Now, the thing with this tank now, like, just watch I mean, when you shoot, you could see the shell, and it takes about 10 minutes to hit the freaking tank. But back in the day, when you hit that tank, doing 300 to 400 damage was insane. Or just watching the tank right in front of you vanish. You know, full hit points, you take a shot and it's gone. As long as you penned, it's absolutely wiped away. So along with the Hetcher, they removed that ability as well. So now I don't understand why anybody would want to play this tank. Now, you can see now how shocking this is. Yes, I am playing against the tier 4, but every shot I have against him just bounces, or it doesn't bounce, but it splashes and does absolutely no damage whatsoever to that AMX-40. Yes, he's got good armor, especially against a tank like this, but I don't understand why anybody, literally anybody on this earth would want to play this tank right now. Where you used to be able to do 400 plus damage, you're doing like just over 100, like 150 or so damage. And that's if you penetrate. So the T82, along with the Hetcher, really have suffered since Wargaming removed the ability to one-shot tanks, especially in the lower tiers. There are tanks out there, of course, that can one-shot tanks, but Wargaming didn't want that so early on in people's Blitz careers. You know, tier 3, you see it almost instantly. But another tank that suffered with the autoloader is the T46. Now, this again is a tier 3 tank, but this again, like the Luchs, this was insane. If you wanted to play tier 3, double these up, absolutely insane back in the day. Nowadays, again, you never see this tank. It really isn't a popular tank. But yeah, if you played this tank sort of 8 years ago, 9 years ago, then you would see loads of these in a platoon, 2 T46s in a platoon. Following that, you had the A20 as well, which was broken. People used to stat pad A20s. I know people to have sort of 10,000 battles just in the A20 alone. The T46 wasn't as good as the A20, which is the tier 4 version, but it was still fun. For a tier 3 tank, it was still mega fun. And if you had 2 of these, you could actually come up against Keniotsus, and they would struggle. They would, even though the Keniotsu back then was still like very OP, but they would struggle to deal with a T46. The T46 was one of the tier 3s to go to. Yes, there are other tier 3 autoloaders out there, but none of them was as good as the T46 back in the day. Mega fun tank to play. And looking back, looking through your sort of garage, you look at this tank and think, you know, this tank done me proud. This tank really did do me proud. So that moves me on to the final tank of this nostalgia video, and of course it has to be no other than the KV2. The KV2, you know, it was one of a kind. People used to play it to have fun. Now with the introduction of things like the Smasher in tier 7, nobody really plays the KV2 as much now. I would still go to say that this tank is probably the most played tank in the game ever, but yeah, since the introduction of the Smasher, this tank really isn't a thing anymore. But you know, people of course can still play the KV2 and have a bit of fun, but it's nowhere near as it was back at the early days of Blitz. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. Let me know your nostalgia tank. What tank did you love in your early days of Blitz? Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Meadsy, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye bye. With